sound test. Okay, I think sound is all right. Or is it? No, it's all right. Yep. Okay. So I have to mute. Welcome to stream number 16 of Tatoeba. So we're gonna start with the usual today, which is just me contributing to Tatoeba. So the usual deployment that we have on Sunday, but before deploying, I have to merge a bunch of stuff, merge and test a bunch of stuff. But let's start with having a look at what's in the menu for this deployment today. Up. Okay. I have to up. Okay, so today this is so as usual, everybody can always check what's being planned for which release by looking at the milestones in our GitHub repository. And the milestones, you can access them by going to the issues tab and then milestone here, and you can see which ones are open. Or you can also access them from the pull requests. So the pull request tab, milestone, it's the same thing. So today's milestone, the first is to speed up the collapse, the expand and collapse button in the new design. So just to show again what we're talking about here is basically this button over here, which when there's a lot of translations can take a lot of time to open. I think even more if you have an old computer. The second thing is updating the language flag for one of the languages, so in this case Tigrinya. So we are using currently an icon that looks like this, and here we're going to change it to something that looks like this over here. So that's the second thing. Third thing is some bug fix. So closing the sentence edition form changes the ownership icon. This one I can also reproduce. Yeah, I don't have to save anything. So if I go to my sentences and I look at this over here, yeah, okay. Maybe let's not try to mess up too much. I'll go to the dev. So basically, so this is yeah, from the new design. So if I try to unadopt over here, I think, yeah, and I try to edit and I just cancel, this icon over here just switches back, which is, yeah, not the intended behavior, because when I clicked here, I unadopted the sentence. We can see as well that it still says that it belongs to me, so that's a bit of inconsistent information. After I unadopt, like the only thing that gets updated is this here, but oh, actually over here as well. But if I cancel, the things just come back. So that's a bug here that we're going to be fixing. There's also another bug about adding sentence to a list. So this I actually have to read again. Can I click? Yes. So, okay, I think here we would need a search. So, when trying to create a list of sentences to record, I use the event search to select those of my sentences not recorded yet. Okay, got a total of 298 results. Create 3 lists. To mark the sentence to be added to a given list, I keep their frame expanded. Okay. Whenever I tick any, all the other ones appear marked. Okay. So basically, let's say I have this test list. Okay, I have some test list. So if I open them all, oops. So I open, okay, maybe just those 2. And I click over here, we can see for some reason this one is selected down here as well. So that's a bug. Next one is okay, so this is not going to be enabled on production yet, but at least we're going to merge into the main branch the changes in the configuration to make it at least that Tokipona is one of the available options to be available as a UI language. So basically to be available in this list over here. So it will not be activated yet. It is activated on the dev website, but it will be activated on the production website when there will be enough translations. So those 2 here are about this new language on the UI, and the last one is okay, it's actually the merge request for the bug over here. So yeah, let's start closing stuff, because the goal before we deploy is that things are merged, somewhat tested, and yeah, and then we can start deploying. So the first one, so in this case, I will not check it too much in details here. Like, I'm just going to trust the last comments that the new commits look good. Actually, I could test at least that nothing is broken. So let's go ahead and start. I will switch the view actually. Oh, I just noticed that I put it full screen, but yeah, let's switch the view. And actually, before I continue, I should remind that people can join the chat room. So anybody who's watching and maybe have questions along the way, not necessarily about the things that I'm talking about, but about things in general, feel free to go to chat.tatoeba.org, so the same thing that I just did, and you can just write questions over there. If you have questions, you can also, of course, use the YouTube chat to write questions. But in the meantime, let's continue. So this one we can test locally. So I'm gonna start the Tatoeba VM. I think I should be up to date. I had some, okay, no, there's some new stuff. So starting the VM. And once it's started, I can pull this branch. I wonder if I already have it actually. Speed up, expand, collapse. Okay, I don't actually have it yet. So we're just going to copy those commands over there and execute them. So now I have the content of this pull request in my branch, in my local repository. So I can go locally. Oops. To localhost 8080. And okay, I guess I'm gonna actually need to have something with a lot of translations here, so I won't be able to actually feel the effect of this pull request, but I can at least check that nothing is broken. So I'm going to copy some random sentences from Tatoeba. This one doesn't have that many translations, but okay, actually I'll need more. I need one that has at least 5. Okay, language detection works pretty well. Okay, but I think that's enough. So yeah, here if we click, everything seems good from here as well. So back to this one here. No, not this one. This one. Right, so things work fine. I will go ahead and merge. And then we move on to the next. Right, so the next one, also nothing too complicated. So for the sake of it, we can also test locally. Up. So I think from here I'll have to regenerate the assets. See, green, yeah. It's not updated yet here, but we're gonna connect to the VM with SSH and actually I didn't need to go to the Tatoeba folder. We have this command here to regenerate the assets, and this is the one thing that needs to be updated. So T-Gree still not. Okay. Do I have to clear my cache or something? Or did things got merged properly? Okay. Yeah, that one. Alright, yeah, it was some cache issues, so now we see the new one here. Looks alright. So, yeah, time to merge. Okay, so next one. Next one, we're gonna check the pull request over here. I forgot to add it to the milestone, but here it is. So this is just, so this was one of the commits that came from, maybe I should link somehow, just for traceability. So this was a commit that was in this zombie pull request here. That I just, I just cherry picked into a separate branch. So here as well. we can, well, I have it locally, this branch, but we can still do the same. Oh, okay, fine. Let's delete it so that I can run those commands. Okay. I was not expecting to see this. Maybe I'm misunderstanding. Just want to check. So 102. Ah, no, okay. We here removed user, we changed it. Okay, no, I do have the proper changes. Okay. So let's test it locally. No, I should go to my sentences. Actually, to this view over here. Okay, I actually have to, because this changes some of the JavaScript files that are being compressed. I think I have to regenerate the assets. Okay, that looks more like it. So here we have the menu that updates, because once you unadopt the sentence, well, it's not editable by yourself anymore, so the menu updates accordingly. If you adopt it again, then you have the edit button again, and of course you have this thing that disappears. And as a result, well, if the edit button is not there anymore, the bug that we've seen earlier, where after unadopting I click edit, well, you cannot go through these steps anymore, so that solves it. So I think no one really reviewed this request, but I'm gonna go ahead and still merge it. It's still okay. It's still in check over here. So we're gonna wait a little bit. So until that is done, we can check the next one. So for this one, I think I also have the branch, but just delete it. So doing the same steps, running those commands to fetch what is in the remote repository. And so here I'm gonna have to be able to search. I forgot what what changed here. Okay, so we're gonna have to regenerate as well because it changes one of the Angular files. Oh, here I do need to go to the Tatoeba folder. Okay, so then we can have a search. Open the list over here. So if I click test over here is not affected. So this one I will merge. Okay, well, I can't find it. It doesn't matter. Okay, so next one, Tokipona. Right, so here also nothing too special, it's just changing the configuration file to list a new language, so nothing really to test. I will merge. Okay, so this one I will close because it's on the dev now. Okay, this one was the issue that I couldn't link to the other pull request. Oh no, this one is the, sorry, these two ones are together. The other one I think has been closed automatically already. Yeah, these two are together. So the last one here is still going through a check. So we're gonna have to wait for that one. I don't know why it started a check though. Okay, it's still running some tests here. So yeah, we're just gonna wait for that to finish to make sure there's no regression. I think it was already green before, unless I didn't see it properly. So can anyone create issues? Somebody asked in the chat. Yes, anyone can create issues as long as you have a GitHub account. So you still need, so this is not like having just a Tatoeba account is not enough to create issues, but yeah, as soon as you have a GitHub account, there is no restrictions. You can go to the Tatoeba repository, which you there is a link from the Tatoeba website at the bottom, so you click on this link over here, and then you can go, normally you can go to this tab and you will be able to click on new issue, and from there you can choose several types, or you can just open a blank issue if you don't have a specific type that your issue corresponds to. But yeah, if you don't want to create a GitHub account, you can always post on the wall. So what will often happen is that people start giving suggestions or reporting problems on the wall, and then what we will do is, like, somebody else who has access to GitHub, who has an account in GitHub, they will create the issue, and they will also link from the wall to the issue, so to let the person know, okay, we've created this issue, and also from the issue have a link to the original post on the wall. Okay. Let's see how the tests are going. 76%. Okay, so we're almost there. But yeah, then with that, we're gonna have good progress on decreasing the amount of pull requests. So our to-do list here is slowly getting done. And yeah, maybe to plan ahead a little bit while this finishes. So next week we're gonna have another deployment on production, another Tatoeba update. So I'll create a milestone for it. And what's going to be in there, so not 100% sure yet what's going to be next, but the multiple audio seems to have been progressing pretty well, and actually it has been deployed, so it has been set up on the dev. And there's these two examples here which have multiple audio. So right, so actually yeah, that's maybe a bit small. Let me increase. So you can see the tooltip here. So the first one is recorded by Ignacio, and the second one over here is recorded by ARH. And yeah, so it's just when there's multiple audio, the current mechanism for it is that it just cycle through each of the audio, and on the sidebar we can actually see as well and play the specific audio. So that's pretty cool. If you want to try it out, the dev website is available to everybody, so if you want to try it out, go for it. If you find any issues, actually please report so that we can refine all of that before this gets deployed. But I think this is very good progress right here. So we'll probably have to try out also the whole import mechanism, like importing audio. But yeah, maybe not for today, but at least for testing, listening to the audio, that's ready, and you can try it out on the two links that have been posted on the pull request. Okay, so that's one of those things that I hope can be for next week. That will be very exciting. In the meantime, this is now success, so we can have this button available and merge. So I'll go ahead and merge. And with that, normally, yeah, we have this milestone here where everything is closed, so we took care of everything. So we can go ahead with the actual deployment. So if you've watched the previous streams, that's gonna be some familiar steps already, because I'm doing that for the next 3 weeks already, I think. Yeah, so first, I should have stayed in the... So first step is to update the translations. Okay, that's more than usual. It's taking longer than usual, I think. So, by the way, for Transifex, if anybody is interested, so that was the responsibility of our late Ricardo, who passed away a few months ago, sadly, very sadly. But in the meantime, I haven't really actively searched for somebody to take over all the responsibilities that he had. So basically everything falls on me. But if anybody is interested in this role of, kind of managing the UI translations of Tatoeba, kind of try to recruit more people to translate the UI in more languages, and just guide them through how to use Transifex, kind of support them in all of that, please contact me. Like, there's not, as far as what I'm doing, like, I'm not really actively doing any sort of recruitment. I'm just like accepting whenever somebody requests to join the translators team. But I think there could be a lot more, a lot more of a community around this. So if anybody wants to take this responsibility, please contact me, and we can try to figure out something. All right. So translations downloaded. Yeah. I'm afraid if I pull, that might... No, okay, we're good. So we're adding, we're making a commit for the translations. And have some sort of check here. Right, so that's probably all the... So Transifex has some translation memory, and I guess that might be... Oh no, that's maybe not Tokipona, because I think Tokipona has no capital letters in its words. Okay, yeah, I didn't check what language it was before, so... But anyway, many new strings here. Okay. So pushing this and then creating the branch, the tag. So if anyone wants to help to turn this whole deployment process on production into a single click button, I would be very grateful as well. I mean, not that it's too difficult, but that would be very ideal if it was a little bit more automated. So 0501. Okay, so we have the tag, and we go ahead and switch the folder. Well, first make sure that we have the code on master and up to date. And now we set the new folder, refresh the cache. We don't have any new language, so that should be it. And with this, yeah, we make sure that Tatoeba still works. So just a few checks again to see that things were deployed. So normally now on the main website, some of the things that will be visibly will have taken effect should be that if I search and I open over here and I open over here, if I click on test over here, this is no longer selected down there, so that's good. Yeah, and the language flag. So this one, I'm afraid that this might... Oh no, it did take effect. Okay. So that's it for today's Tatoeba update. I will close this milestone here. And for the next one, yeah, so for the next one, I'm not going to fill up the next milestone yet, but I'll just go through the things that might be part of it. So first of all, the multiple audio, which is pretty mature now. Second thing is from this list here, so we have here in purple 3 of these issues that are done, and there's still one that is green, so still to do. And I think that one I would also, well, actually that one is dependent on me, so I am pretty confident I can add it. So this one can be for the next. And just to explain what this is about, is basically when we have a lot of translations on a sentence. So let me find by random one that will have a lot. So for instance here, the amount of translations that are displayed by default is limited to 5, which is for some people not necessarily enough. I mean, it's really an arbitrary limitation that we had here. Some people might want to actually display more than 5, like 10 or even 20 or maybe 100. So I don't know exactly how I implemented it. I have to go back quickly over here. If I just have a look quickly. Right, so yeah. So if I take the code changes that I made back then, there would be a choice between 5, 10, 20 or 50 translations displayed. Yeah. That would be, of course, that affects the new sentence design. That doesn't affect the old one, because the old one we're going to be phasing it out. So as we polish the new sentence design and we make sure that the new sentence design is usable and is like basically more powerful to use than the old one for the majority of the users, like when it's being adopted, basically, we're just going to decommission the old one and we're going to clean up the whole code to make sure that this is a little bit more maintainable. But yeah, and every new feature, any new improvement that we can do about, you know, contributing, viewing a sentence, will be done only on the new design. And there's already quite a lot of things that you can do on the new design that you couldn't do in the you cannot do in the old design. Like the list when we saw earlier, you can create a list directly from here. When you see a sentence that you want to add to a list and this list doesn't exist yet, you can just create, and then it will add it directly. Well, if you were in the old design, this kind of feature, you don't have it. So there's already many features that you have in the new design that's not in the old design, but yeah, we haven't transitioned yet because there's still many little things here and there that people still cling to the old design and still can't live without it. So we're gonna try to make sure that as much as possible the new design feels comfortable enough and is adopted enough, and then we're gonna completely phase out the old one. But yeah, so this one here is one of these things where I guess in the old design people had a little bit less limitation on how many translations are displayed, and so we're gonna give a little bit of choice about how many translations are displayed here. So that's one thing. I think there was a little bit more. I have to check my list. Yeah, so some minor things. There was also one commit in here where I think I reduced a little bit the padding. So yeah, basically gaining 4 pixels in total in height. But you could see, I mean, I can make this change live. So you can see that there's maybe, for some people, you will feel that there's maybe too much spacing. And I mean, indeed, we could do a little bit, I mean, we could do with a little bit shorter boxes here. So I have to find the correct container. I think it's this one over here, yeah. So this one over here, if we zoom in a little bit more, we can see, like in the purple, you can see at the top, at the bottom, there's these 2 extra pixels, which we can... So this might feel like nothing, but I guess when you have a lot of translations, you actually gain a lot of space. I think it's probably more noticeable on a big sentence with, I mean a sentence with a lot of translations. Like I love you is one of them. Yeah, if we're gonna expand, so yeah, here we can see it takes a lot of time. I don't know how much worse it was before that I deployed, because there was this this update where it should make it a little bit faster, but still with 500 sentences, that's a lot. But yeah, to sense the difference. So just so that we can view a little bit more here to see, but you can see here the amount of translations you can see in the screen at first sight is kind of limited to here. Well, if you had the old design, I think you could see at least maybe 5 more. I can't say for sure. We can actually make the experiment. If I open it here. Actually, let's just open on this page. So if I okay, if I put it at the start over here and at the start over here, actually much more. So here we end at Algerian Arabic. Algerian Arabic is this one over here, so we have at least a dozen more. Well, at least, yeah, seems like it's 10 more. So obviously, in terms of efficiency, if you wanted to have as much information as possible in the screen, you would be disappointed here, because yeah, you would see much less. But assuming we can reduce a little bit the padding, so for this, basically, just to show you, I'm opening the dev tool, and I can modify directly some CSS from here. So here, so if I put it back to 2, it looks like this, with Algerian Arabic over here. And if I put it to 0, actually it says we get 2 more. Actually, maybe a little bit. Yeah, okay. I had the search bar, so that was a little bit blocking the way. But yeah, that's the gain we can have. Now, you could wonder, why can't we make it even more compact? The main reason is that the new design is meant to be also usable on mobile, and like on mobile, you don't have the same precision when you're tapping around. You don't have the same precision that you would have with a mouse, and so the buttons that you can click, they should be a certain size, so that you don't have like to struggle in trying to really click the correct area, so that you have more area that is tappable. And because these icons are a certain, like, not standard, but like with the design framework that we're using, there is like a convention size for these buttons, and this is the size that you see here for each of these buttons. this is what prevents the whole row to be a certain size. We can't really make it smaller because otherwise we need to make this button smaller, which will result in a less comfortable use on mobile. And yeah, like we don't have the resource. I mean, if we want to elaborate on that, we don't have the resource to have like a UI specialized for desktop and a UI specialized for mobile. Like we just basically have one UI. I mean, we could probably tweak things around in the long term where we can give like some options for a compact and non-compact version of Tatoeba. But in the meantime, at least for the foundation of the UI, we try to make something that can work both on desktop and on mobile. And so that's the restrictions we have here about why we cannot have something more compact for now. So yeah, that's long story short, just giving a couple more rows visible by reducing the padding. That's probably gonna be something for the next Tatoeba update. And with that, maybe, so I'll have to think about it, but maybe we can switch as well that whenever somebody creates a new account, so somebody registers, I think at the moment by default, we can check that, but at the moment by default they would be using the old design, and we can probably switch things that every new users from then on will have by default the new design. So where would it be in the model? Not the table, I think it's in the entity, the user. Yeah, so we have an option. So this is all the settings that the users can have. And the default, yeah, use new design by default over here is false, so we can turn that into true, probably because most of the bugs have been fixed. And then yeah, the new users anyway, when you're not logged in, what you see is the new design. So it might feel a little bit weird that once you're logged in, suddenly you see something that looks different from what you used to see when you were not logged in. So yeah, I think it probably makes sense to change that to true now that we have something that is less buggy, or at least like the last bugs have been eliminated. So that will be what next, but the main big thing of course is going to be the multiple audio, so looking forward to that. Alright, so now the whole topic of myself contributing to Tatoeba is done. I wanted to talk about two topics that have been discussed on the wall lately. Actually, let me just go directly to the links. And let me also close everything else. So first topic is about audio and about how other websites are using Tatoeba audio. So Gilux went and checked a little bit the logs in our server, and he actually found, yeah, I'm also surprised by this number, 17 unique websites over the past 2 weeks that are hot linking audio files from Tatoeba. So meaning that, I mean, at least if I understand properly, it means that they have a website where they have a button play audio, and this button is reading directly from Tatoeba. So now the thing is, he could notice that many of them don't give proper attribution. So like, yeah, they don't say that the audio comes from Tatoeba, and some of them also seem to violate the non-commercial clause, meaning that some of our audio are meant to be used only for non-commercial, and these websites, they have, I mean, maybe they have ads. That would be one thing. If they have ads on the website, that would prevent them from being classified as non-commercial, and so they technically could not use audio from those websites. Audio from Tatoeba for those websites. But yeah, so a little bit of a side note is that the whole license ecosystem of Tatoeba is a little bit different when it comes to the text, so to the textual corpus, and to audio. So everything that is just text and that is basically everything that you can download from here is licensed with the CC BY license, or in some cases, I mean, a subset of these sentences here can also be available with CC0, which is basically close to public domain. But that's only for the text. For everything that is about audio, it's a bit different, and we have a little bit more choices. So there's a little bit more choices of what users can choose for the audio license, which can be found. So everyone, if you go to your profile, and from the profile you go to audio over here, you actually can choose what is, so this will apply to all the audio that you contributed. Yeah, that we don't have currently the way to like independent, like for every single sentence that the user can specify, okay, this one is this license and this one is this other license. But yeah, there is more choices, and among other things, there is the choice of non-commercial, so NC, and there is the choice of share alike, and there is also the choice of non-commercial and non-derivative. So there's more stuff around it, more constraints that we have around audio than around the text. So yeah, that's about audio. So a little bit more complicated, I guess, for anybody who uses audio to really understand, yeah, what they can use and to what extent they can use it when it comes to audio. But coming back to this one, so yeah, now that we're aware of this, the question really comes to should we do something about it, right? Because on one hand, yes, we could just technically it's possible for us at Tatoeba, we could really prevent hot linking, meaning that anybody, all the websites that are currently using our audio in that way, the website would break. I mean, all the audio features, any audio that they have that are linking to Tatoeba, they would not work anymore. So that's of course a possibility, but yeah, because you can sense that this is a bit of a asshole move. Even though you could say, well, if on their side they're not really, paying attention and trying to care about respecting the license and, checking the license, giving proper attribution, it's not so polite on their side, so we don't have to be so polite on our side either. But even then, I think the best approach is still that we try as much as possible to, to educate people and to spread the knowledge. So definitely here my preferred approach is if we can somehow get in touch with them and just explain to them that yeah, they're not using audio in the right way, and that there's a little bit more things that they should do if they want to be let's say legally compliant to our licenses. Right, so that would be the best approach. Now, the interesting part in this is that Yorba here actually is sharing that he tried to contact one of such websites, and it turned out he scared them a little bit because they just took down the whole website. So that's another extreme that we probably don't want to achieve. So I think in general, we should be happy that people find value in the work that we are publishing. So yeah, we should avoid to scare them out. So that's a little bit of a lessons learned. The whole approach of like contacting people, I think that's what we should do as much as possible. Trying to contact people who are using our data and let them know, well, this is the conditions, like this is free, but there are some conditions attached, and I mean it's not so much, and to try to guide them into what actually is needed. But yeah, so for that part, I have to share that we do receive once in a while. So this is, I know that this is not straightforward for everyone, like the whole license things. We still receive once in a while an email from somebody who wants to use the Tatoeba corpus, or who wants to use the audio, and they are a little bit confused about or like they're a little bit unsure. Like maybe they know kind of what to do, but they're unsure if this is really the way to do it. So they need reassurance and they contact us, which is not a bad thing actually. In general, I think this should be the default way of handling all that. Is like even if there's a license and if you're not sure exactly, best is always to ask the author of the content that you're trying to reuse, just to double check that what you're doing is fine with them. But the fact that people contact us once in a while to ask, even though we do have in our FAQ something that explains it, it shows that probably we can do a little bit better communication over there about like, yeah, how can, like, if people reuse our data, what are the legal steps they would need to take in order to make sure that everything is okay. So that's one thing. Now the other thing is like, let me find it in my notes. Ah, yeah, here it is. So the other thing is, in general, I think we don't have much awareness of who's using Tatoeba for what, how they are using it. And I just remembered, like, after seeing this post, because I mean, I realized, okay, there's actually many websites that use our audio, and I couldn't guess, like out of my mind. If you ask me, can you guess what is one of those websites, I couldn't guess it at all. So I actually have no idea who's using Tatoeba and how. And I remembered that some time ago I tried to start a page to just kind of have a list, a whole overview of who's using Tatoeba for what. And I think, like, even if we can't, like, even if nobody finds the time to contact those website owner to let them know that they're doing something a little bit wrong and how to correct it, at the very least it's still interesting to for us to have a page where we're aware of the websites and projects and things, everything that uses Tatoeba. And then anybody who has time. So I encourage everyone, of course, to do something like Yoruba did. So maybe we need, I mean, from what he shared here, maybe we need to have a page that, you know, that makes sure everything is explained nicely and in a non-scary way, so that anybody who sees, oh, okay, I found this website and it's using Tatoeba data, but it's not giving proper attribution anywhere, I couldn't find it, you know, they can just contact the user and just like link to that page that explains everything nicely. And then, yeah, step by step, we can reach out to more people, because we would have like people attributing, like giving credit to Tatoeba, and people would find out. I mean, there has been many people who found out about Tatoeba thanks to the attribution conditions. So it's definitely one way to give more visibility to Tatoeba, if we can enforce that people give proper attribution. But again, that's something I think that is not, I mean, that's something that everybody can do. It's not like us within the Tatoeba team, we're the only one who would have the authority to contact the website owners or the website developers of a language platform. Like, I think everybody can help out with that. What we need to do, though, more on the internal side, is to have probably a page with like a good explanation about this whole license attribution, like something that explains as clearly and as nicely as possible what we expect when people reuse our content. So that was the first topic. But yeah, anyway, very interesting. So thank you, Gilux, if you're listening. Thank you for bringing this up. I personally had no idea, so it was very interesting information. Second thing was about like basically the topic of interesting, boring sentences. So this was posted by Heko, where basically what he observed is that in general in Tatoeba, the more translations a sentence has, a more useful it is. So yeah, that's a fact that, yeah, I guess just like in life, when like you have a network and your network is like has more connections to more people, then somehow, yeah, there is more you can get out of this. Same for the sentences in Tatoeba. If like a sentence has good networking, then it can bring more value. But on the other hand, boring sentences, as he calls them, are easier to translate, and so they are more likely to have a lot of translation. So basically, on one hand, you could have boring sentences, so I interpret it as less valuable sentences that are easier to translate. Then, you know, we give them more value by translating them, those boring sentences, and so it's like more energy is being channeled into, I guess, the wrong content. I guess that's the whole idea initially from this post here. And that's just, there is a feeling, probably a feeling that many Tatoeba members share, that maybe we are focusing, I mean, there is a lack of focus, or at least the focus is not on the things that really matter, is on things that are maybe a little bit too superficial or boring, in this case was the word. So yeah, just a couple of thoughts on my side about this is that in general, I guess it's very subjective to be able to say if something is boring or not. I mean, what is interesting, what has value, is actually very difficult to define. And I don't think we can really come up with like a general algorithm that will say, okay, this is, you know, according to very objective measure, this is an interesting sentence and this is a boring sentence. So if you like, you have to I guess look at it from a perspective of whether you're a learner or whether like you're a contributor to Tatoeba. And so that has different effects, right? Because for instance, if you're just a learner, so me, if I'm like searching for a sentence, or actually I'm just looking to know what is the translation, how to translate a word, even though Tatoeba is not a dictionary, but sometimes I'll use it as a dictionary. And let's say I want to know what's the translation of happy in Japanese. Like in those cases, I'm kind of grateful that I don't get, you know, very long sentences. I'm completely fine. It's actually much more practical for me if the first answers I get are just boring sentences, because I just get straight away what I need. But on the other hand, of course, if I put myself in the shoes of somebody who's I don't know, trying to compile a list of sentences to study, obviously, if my list of sentences is just like I am adjective, I am happy, I am sad, I am, well, you could say, yeah, for very beginners, maybe that could help, but like you would need a little bit more than just boring sentences. So yeah, you would need like more elaborate. So the whole concept of, yeah, what is boring, I guess, what is boring, what is interesting, what has value, that's a little bit subjective, and it would be a little bit hard to sorry, I'm trying to to switch between tabs here. Yeah, it would be difficult to really establish, and I don't think it would be a healthy way for us like to try to figure out what is interesting or not, because at the end of the day, that's everyone's decision. Like, you decide for yourself what you find interesting and what you find boring. So it might be a little bit dangerous if we start to go on a path of, you know, like giving some value score to a sentence, to promote some sentences more than others. I feel it might not be the best approach, because this is not a judgment that I think that Tatoeba should have the authority. That is something we should leave to the users, to the contributors to decide for themselves. And in general, it's my preferred approach is more that we provide the necessary tools so that people can find the sentences that they are interested in, and can filter out the sentences that have no value for them. And that's where, yeah, that's the main that's the main message I have here. So out of this, I think there was one particular post, yeah, from Master here, who says, well, yeah, this theme comes up again and again and nothing happens. So I was thinking, okay, well, what could we actually do about this whole topic? And I don't know if you think that would be a good idea, but I feel, so the search is probably the one place where we can have a starting point on understanding a little bit better, you know, how satisfied or how unsatisfied somebody is when it comes to the results. I don't know why this sentence shows up weird. Okay, because I don't have the correct font. Anyway, so yeah, when it comes to trying to understand, yeah, what are people looking for exactly? So if I'm searching for a certain word, and like the sentences that I see, I don't consider them as interesting at the moment. Really, Tatoeba doesn't have any way to detect this kind of dissatisfaction. And I was thinking maybe one thing we can do is just put somewhere, probably at the end of the search page, a little extra section where we could ask for feedback directly from people, like, hey, if this search didn't provide satisfying results to you, please let us know, and we can look into improving the search results. And I mean, it could be that they could have ways to find interesting sentences, but it's just, people don't know all the possibilities of how to filter the corpus. So yeah, this is two topics that I found interesting, and this is just quickly my thoughts on it. But yeah, I just wanted to give a little bit of visibility to this topic as well, in case other people also have ideas of how we can improve that. But definitely this whole topic of boring interesting sentence is still a thing. Like, I think in general, it shouldn't be frustrating for anybody who contributes to Tatoeba. It shouldn't be frustrating to contribute. And actually just remembered, because this was also maybe out of this discussion here, there was something else. So there is another issue. Okay, I have to figure out where to find out. Over here, yeah. So it's kind of related, because at the end of the day, the feeling that we have that the sentence is boring. I mean, one way we can feel that a sentence is boring is if we've seen too many other similar sentences elsewhere. So there is this ticket that addresses this problem, basically. I mean, that at least not addresses, but mentions or explains the problem. And there was a concrete example that was given about a kind of search where, in our case here, LBTX shared that if he searched for the word supportive, maybe we can just show no translation to have a better understanding, but like, there is a lot of repetitivity, like it's very redundant, and that makes the whole, so it's not like one sentence itself is not interesting or boring, because like if you look at it just isolated, like every sentence I think would be interesting, but it's just in the context of a search result. I think this is where we can feel a little bit more what actually is boring or what actually is interesting. And the fact that it's very repetitive, like a little bit of repetitiveness, or whatever is the word, like if it repeats a little bit, if it's a little bit redundant, then it's useful, because this is where like at least my mind can extract patterns, so I can kind of understand the structure of a language, and like, you can learn, like there's linguistic value out of redundancy, but then when it's just too much, then it becomes like pollution, right? It's just not useful anymore after a certain point. So yeah, also just wanted to bring up this ticket here that's discussing possible solutions of how we can provide more interesting search results, basically. And I guess by providing more interesting search results, we will provide a way for people to feel less bored when they try to translate sentences, because the search is one of the ways. It's probably the main way that people use to translate sentences. Okay, So I think that is it on my side for today, at least for the topics I wanted to bring up. So there was a last topic, but I don't think I'll have time. And I didn't prepare enough for it. So just checking if there's any other questions in chat. Currently not. Right, so the last topic, just to give a heads up, so the last topic I wanted to talk about is about just money in general, so the fundings, how Tatoeba gets fundings, like about donations, yeah, and about all this kind of stuff. But I think, yeah, that's better topic for another time, because we've been streaming long enough today. So, all right. Checking one last time. All right, so I think we're at a good point to stop today. So thanks for joining, everyone. Yeah, probably next week I'm gonna be streaming around the same time. So thanks for tuning in, and take care and see you next week. Bye bye.